Hey guys, Ron Bondo Build Construction here today. I want to show you what we've been up to over here at the split level house with some insulation upgrades that I wanted to show you. Just give you some ideas of how you could take these old houses and increase the R value and make them more comfortable while you got them ripped apart. You should actually add as much insulation as you can while you got things torn apart. It just makes complete sense. It'll make the house more comfortable. It'll be cheaper to heat and live there. It'll just be more enjoyable for everybody. So I just want to show you some ways that I increase the R value in the houses as I fix them up. I've done this several times and it works really well. I take these houses that are built in 1970s and they're just really drafty, terrible, not energy efficient at all, and turn around and make them really nice and comfortable, easy to heat, just good air quality in them and everything else. So I'll show you just some of the things I do. There's a million different ways to do insulation, but I got some ideas and some things that work really well that I'd like to share with you guys. Thanks. Okay guys, we just got this sheetrock up here. One thing we did before the sheetrock was put up here was we put some green board insulation, 1.5 inch green board insulation. Right here, here's some of the pieces that are left over. Styrofoam, closed cell styrofoam, 1.5 inch thick. So we put this insulation up here and it's all covered up now, but that was one of the insulation strategies we did here in the garage because I had the ceiling all torn apart. I'm like, why not add some insulation? There's not a lot of room up there. It's a sharp angle, so we put the 1.5 inch green board up there, and we had to use longer drywall screws. Use 3-inch drywall screws. Put the 5/8 drywall right up there, and that's going to add quite a bit of R value to this garage because this garage has radiant heat inside of it, inside the concrete. I put radiant heat in here, so this will help that a lot. That in-floor heat will perform a lot better with that up there. And another thing that we did on the outside of this entire house is we used this Roxol insulation board. This is some of the scraps that are left over from it. This stuff's flame retardant. It's takes on water and releases it. It doesn't hold water. It'll breathe really well. This house here has plastic inside the walls. Here's an example right here, I'll show you. This is an interior wall, so you can see there's plastic on this. The plastic. So this whole house has plastic on the walls underneath the drywall. That was something they did back in the 70s. They kind of stopped doing that because the way we insulate a lot better now actually could cause condensation problems. So I didn't really want to rip all the drywall off and try to get rid of this plastic, so I use this Roxol insulation board, which if the house does get a little moisture in it, it'll actually wick back out. So instead of putting polystyrene, which I usually do on the outside of the house, or polyiso, I use this Roxol insulation board. So I'll show you a couple pictures as I'll add to this video of how we did the Roxol. But we put 1.5 inch of Roxol, and then we put we wrapped it and strapped it, and we got a breathable system that we got that breathes right up through there with some strapping, and it works really good. So on the outside of all of this, we have the Roxol. On the whole house, entire house has the 1.5 inch of Roxol. So that's how we added insulation one way. We added insulation. Like I said, up on the ceiling we put the green board up. We're going to blow, we sealed all these lights. You can see you can't, there you go, there's styrofoam oozing out of them. There's some there oozing out. You see that oozing out. So we air sealed all these lights from the top. All these boxes and lights are all air sealed from upstairs. We encapsulated the whole entire box so that we don't get any air leakage. So that's one thing we did too. Something I like to do on these houses, if it's a 2x4 construction, which this house is, I go ahead and build a double wall system. So this is how I do my double wall system. This house was framed on 24-inch centers. So I went ahead and made it 16-inch centers. And you don't have to do that, but I just figured I would give more areas to hold the drywall a little better. So I put it on 16-inch centers. But the object of doing this is, now I got a nice, just about an 8-inch cavity. I'm going to blow dense packed cellulose in there. So, and when you do this, do not line up your studs. So say I want to keep this at 2-foot center. I do not want these two studs to line up with each other, because that's thermal bridging. You're going to get a cold spot in your wall where it's non-insulated. So you don't want to line those studs up. Whether you keep it at whatever centers you're running on, just don't line the studs up. Just offset them. See, none of these studs line up as you go down through here. None of them are going to line up. That way I'm going to get insulation over here behind the stud, right in here, between there, so that this stud right here will not be any thermal bridging. And over here, it's going to have insulation here. So there'll be no thermal bridging. If you were to take an infrared photo of this house, you won't see the studs like you would on a regularly conventionally framed house. You're going to see those studs as a heat loss. So that's just a double wall system. Pretty simple to do. I turn this board up on top. I turn it sideways. Instead of running a top and bottom plate, I don't do that. I just run these little scrap boards in between there. I just use up my scraps and I screw them in there, because same thing, you don't get the thermal bridging. See that little pocket of insulation is going to blow up in there? There's my top plate. Now if I run a top plate on this wall, I'd have an uninsulated thermal bridge with my wood. So I didn't do that. I did the same thing on the bottom. See how my headers are? So you're going to get insulation over that header. Down here, here's my bottom plate. See that? There's my bottom plate of my outside wall. Here's my inside wall with my little scrap pieces. So that when I blow that, I'm going to have insulation. I'm going to block that thermal bridge. And it gives you a nice nailing surface. You know, you get a good 3.5 inches of nailing surface. I mean, up here it was nice because we put that 1.5 board and then 5/8 sheetrock, and we still got a nice nailer across the top. So it takes a little while to do it, but it works really good like that. That's what, you know, I recommend. If you have a 2x4 wall construction house and you don't want to tackle it from the outside, or you can't, you got your siding on, you don't want to tackle it that way, and you got the inside ripped apart, double stud it. Put this double stud in there. See, in these corners here, you can see you're going to get insulation in there. That's an open corner in behind there. You can't really see that side, but you're going to get insulation all the way in there, all the way through there. So there's going to be no thermal bridging. And a nice thing too, you can run wires through there. I mean, you run your wires. Here's some wires. Wires just run right behind it. You don't have to drill any holes. Works really good. So we put new wiring and, you know, wired this garage up as we did it. But it's nice. You don't have to worry about drilling all those holes for all your studs. Just some ideas, guys, ways that I do my insulation on my retrofits here with these old houses. Like I said, a lot of different ways to do it, but anytime you can add insulation and you're working on something, that's what you need to do, because these houses, things were a lot different when they built these houses. I mean, they were selling fuel out for 25 cents a gallon, so, you know, they didn't care about making them super tight. And nothing rotted because they leaked so bad. All the heat leaked through the wall, and they were just pumping the heat to it, and everything stayed dry. But now you got to think about it a little bit more, and you know, you owe it to yourself or the people that are going to live in the house to make it nice and comfortable and insulate the best that you can. And that's just a tip for today. Thanks for watching.